before the escape. I don't remember the exact specifics of how we met, but I do recall that I was told that there was a group of people meeting and writing and brothers talking about positive things, you know. And I met with them on the yard. They were sitting around in a circle talking, and I just sort of slid in and listened. And they were talking about books and black authors. They were talking about then Donnell Lee, Hakimata Buti now. And they were talking, somebody gave me a copy of Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. That's really the first time I had considered black people writing, you know. I like to write and so on and so forth, but our conversations dealt with things like Donnell Lee's book, From Planet to Planet. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, you know. Black poetry, you know. That's what we talked about. And to meet Bill, I mean, you could put him in a room full of people, then or now, and have a conversation with all those people. And I'm positive you would never pick Bill out as the person that the news media played him to be, you know.
Okay, you know, Richard, let's look at the fact that Bill has been incarcerated for such a long time, but he also has had a parole hearing. Why don't you tell us something in reference to how that happened and what the situation is in reference to that?
Okay, earlier this year, Bill was blessed to get some redress in the courts, because when he got convicted on the first crime, they gave him a 99-year sentence. And some legal procedure was performed. They changed the 99-year sentence into a life sentence. And they backdated his parole date. Once he called me one day on the phone and told me that basically he should have went to parole board according to his paperwork 15 years ago. That they finally got a parole hearing. I said, okay then. And I asked him, was he going to parole you on both sentences? He said, no, it's custodial parole. I said, man, what, you know, that's not fair. He said, well, yeah, I got to get parole from the first one to the second one. I said, won't they give you credit for your time? He said, I hope so, but I don't know. So he went to parole board, and they gave him custodial parole from the first sentence on the first officer that they tried him on. I'm not familiar, I don't want to say the wrong name, but the first officer they tried him on, they gave him the life sentence for that. They paroled him to the second case. To my knowledge, they tried him for the white officer first and the African-American officer second. So that's what the situation he's in now. He's in a catch-22. Even though the courts gave him some help, but they didn't backdate the help they gave him. They didn't apply it retroactive. So he's had been going through this in 1968. He's been back incarcerated since 1989. And the court said he should have went to parole board 15 years ago, but he just went to parole board this year. He just started a new life sentence after all this time. And, you know, and based on legal language, if he'd have been given a fast and speedy trial back when he got incarcerated, he'd have been tried on both cases, and he would have opportunity, he would have served time to meet the parole board. I'm not saying grant parole, to go before the parole board within 30 years. You know, he wouldn't have to escape, but like say, it's, you know, but as things are, it's all messed up because they paroled him into a new sentence from a crime that happened in 1968. They want him to start it, excuse me, in 2008.
And now, the way I understand it, this is the last individual, last principal involved in this case. Is that a true statement? That Bill is out of the two policemen and the defendants and all of these, Bill is the last surviving individual. Is that
last surviving?
He's the last one incarcerated. I don't know if he's the last survivor. He's the only one incarcerated.
I think Bruce is still alive. Well, there.
But others that have participated in this, activity either have been incarcerated, incarcerated at an earlier period and are no longer with us. And Bill is really the last of the entire group. Is that?
I believe Alexander's alive, isn't he?
But he's not incarcerated.
He's not incarcerated. No.
So Bill is.
Bill Ash is the only one incarcerated.
He's the only one incarcerated.
Because when it came down, it was quote unquote. When you read in the newspaper, it was a theory of an ambush.
Okay.
But as you read Al Browning's book, they say that 2 shots was fired and the officer went down, but in checking the police officer's gun, it was reported they got 4 shots off.
Okay.
So it's to say who shot first, BHill or the police officer, only God knows first. But
And so, in other words,
this
group is in favor of some kind of justice in terms of perhaps getting Allen out of the penitentiary. Is that what we're saying? And of course, I say that because we are running out of time. And, and of course, we also have to encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.